WXII 12 News at 4:30 starts right now.
Right now, Hurricane Maria is making its way to St. Croix and it's packing powerful winds with it. How it's impacting several islands in the Caribbean. Plus, buildings destroyed and structures collapsed. What's so significant about the most recent earthquake that hit Mexico and what the president's doing to help people affected. And here in Winston-Salem, a man is in custody after causing a crime that covered 3 scenes. Details on what he did and what's next for him. Good morning. It's Wednesday at 4:30. I'm Brianna Connor.
It's Wednesday?
Yeah.
Wednesday.
I was like, hold on. Yes, it is Wednesday. It is
Wednesday,
confirmed.
4:30.
I can verify that for you.
Yes, 2 news sources. This is real news. Conditions certainly deteriorating very, very quickly on some of the Caribbean islands. You can see the center of the storm nearing Puerto Rico. Past St. Croix during the night is now looming. And the couple of observations I've made in the last few hours, what was a very, very well-constructed eye wall starting to fall apart a little bit. It's going under a eye wall replacement cycle as we speak. So further intensification at this point, especially now that we're getting ready to move over land, is not likely. It's still a Category 5 storm with winds of 160 miles per hour. Those winds were as strong as 175 miles per hour yesterday evening. Will likely make landfall on the island of Puerto Rico over the next couple of hours as a Category 5 storm. It's this crazy season that we're having here, and they need to brace themselves for that. Here's the center of the storm now, moving to the northwest at about 10 miles per hour. That's that wind speed. Pressures come up a little bit as we're starting to see some reorganization taking place. The storm will likely keep its major hurricane strength. Eventually, it's going to move into an area more sheer and some cooler Atlantic waters. Those waters were churned up as both Irma and Jose has moved over the same area, and it takes a little while for that water to warm back up again. So it won't kill the storm, but it will certainly weaken it as it begins to turn to the north. You can see a similar path to Jose as it continues to move in our general direction early next week. I think we'll see the majority of the storm stay offshore at this point. So that is certainly good news for the United States. Temperatures in the 60s early on today. We'll see a few scattered clouds over the area and some patchy fog this morning. Temperatures back in the mid to upper 80s this afternoon with a chance for a few showers and storms. We'll have more on the rest of your Wednesday forecast and take a look at the weekend coming up in a bit.
Well, Brian just told you how strong Maria is now. Let's take a look. That is unbelievable. This storm is quickly approaching St. Croix. A hurricane warning is in effect for that island. At least 1 person has died. 2 other people are missing in Guadeloupe. The government there says about 80,000 people are without power. And Puerto Rico continues trying to get ready for Maria's arrival, which will probably happen sometime today. People were out boarding up windows and buildings ahead of the storm. Puerto Rico is still recovering from Hurricane Irma. The island didn't get a direct hit, but the effects still hit that island. And we want to remind you to download the WXII 12 News mobile app. You'll be able to see the latest radar and where Hurricane Maria is headed. It's free for Apple and Google users. Well, this morning, a disaster is unfolding in Mexico. A massive 7.1 magnitude earthquake has rattled that region, and it comes on the heels of another massive quake earlier this month. It also hit on the anniversary of another deadly quake. NBC's Dan Shinneman has our report.
A powerful earthquake struck Mexico, rattling the capital and sending people flooding into the streets. More than 20 buildings and other structures in Mexico City collapsed. Emergency workers and ordinary citizens raced to the site of downed structures, lifting rubble with their hands, desperately trying to free anyone stuck underneath. This witness said, "Unfortunately, I saw it collapse, thinking there are children inside. It was regrettable, and the way it collapsed was very shocking." Alma Gonzalez said she was rescued from the 4th floor of her building after being trapped, and she is grateful to be alive. This earthquake struck on the 32nd anniversary of another major disaster, the 1985 quake that killed as many as 10,000 people. Residents who just hours earlier had taken part in large simulated earthquake drills to mark the anniversary emptied into the streets. when the real quake struck. It also came less than 2 weeks after the most powerful earthquake in Mexico in a century, an 8.1 magnitude quake that killed at least 90 people, destroyed thousands of homes, and was felt by tens of millions of Mexicans. The epicenter of today's quake lies in the Puebla state, 76 miles southeast of Mexico City, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. The president of Mexico, Enrique Peña Nieto, said he is traveling to Mexico City and has an emergency plan already in place. He also deployed the Mexican Armed Forces to help. Dan Sheneman, NBC News.
Right now, an Amber Alert in effect for a 3-month-old girl. Authorities are looking for these people, Rex and Heather Cochran. Heather has a tattoo below her jaw that says faith. Deputies just west of Asheville in Haywood County say the pair kidnapped the baby, Callie Marie Cochran. She's 20 inches long and weighs 10 pounds. She has brown hair. Investigators think they're all headed to either Florida or Georgia. And this morning, a man accused of using a car to attack Wake Forest police is in custody. Thomas Eshelman reportedly tried to hit the officers before crashing his car near Wake Forest's main campus in Winston-Salem. It didn't end there. Police say Eshelman got out of the car and ran to his home near the crash site. The SWAT team wound up having to go in and arrest him. No one involved is seriously hurt. Our Bethany Moore is going to have a full report coming up at 5 o'clock. Looking ahead, a man accused of hitting and seriously hurting a woman with his car, then taking off, is going to be in Guilford County Court today. Keon, too, is charged with felony hit and run. High Point police say the 18-year-old admitted to the crime when he was arrested yesterday. Shay Black was riding her motorcycle near Haverly and Eastchester Drives in High Point in early September when the crash happened. Her son says her skull was fractured and she now has severe brain damage. Investigators are looking at what caused a crash involving a toddler in Davidson County. A 14-month-old was inside that crushed-up pickup truck on Gumtree Road. Police say the woman was driving and crashed into oncoming traffic yesterday afternoon. She died later on at the hospital, but the child survived. Police say a car seat probably saved that toddler's life. The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is sending help to Florida as that state tries to recover from Hurricane Irma. The HHS has a 5-bed emergency department on the way to the Florida Keys. Some parts of South Florida are still underwater. Damage there is extensive. The mobile unit will help out at a 25-bed hospital in Florida's Marathon Key. That area was heavily damaged. Local workers will help operate a hospital unit. And a 9th person has died nearly a week after a sweltering nursing home in Florida was evacuated. Hurricane Irma knocked out power and shut off the air conditioning. A criminal investigation is underway in connection with the deaths of now 9 of the patients. This morning in our State of Addiction report, North Carolina's Attorney General is one of several behind an investigation into the opioid manufacturing industry. Josh Stein wants to know whether companies have done anything illegal when it comes to drug marketing and sales. Stein, along with more than 30 other AGs, are asking health insurance companies to offer incentives for prescribing opioid alternatives. Drug overdose deaths now top car accidents as the #1 cause of accidental death in both the country and here in North Carolina. In Surry County, leaders are doing more to address the opioid crisis there. They've already seen more than 45 deadly overdoses this year. Earlier this month, commissioners voted to create an opioid response director position. The director's goal will be to work with an opioid response advisory council on combating the issue and the misuse of drugs. County leaders say they hope this sets a precedent. Up next, defending the president. A new spending report out today details how much President Trump's legal fees have cost the Republican Party. Plus, last week, 30 people were hurt after a terror attack in London. I'll have the latest details on the most recent arrest. It's 4:38. You're watching WXII 12 News.